Red proposed to Snow White with mistletoe. Suddenly, the hunter appeared, whisked Snow White away. Red ran up to the horse, but only stopped the hunter's gun. She raised the gun, but couldn't pull the trigger, because of her kindness. That day, she lost her beloved, long ago.
Would you like some flowers?
When Red was a flower girl, they first met, in a basket full of red flowers. Snow White chose only the mistletoe, because it was the day of her mother's death. Red followed Snow White to the grave, where the king wept bitterly, then said,
"Now I must find another wife."
After the king left, only Snow White's figure remained at the grave. Red quietly approached, and gave all the red flowers to her mother. Then she took Snow White's hand, and accompanied her through her grief. However, the king was happy, because he soon received photos from girls all over the country. He chose the frailest among them to be his wife. The frail queen brought a magic mirror that could answer any question, but she only asked,
"Who is the fairest of them all?"
Although the mirror always answered with the queen's name. As Snow White grew older, the mirror's answer changed. This made the queen furious. She called for the hunter to bring her Snow White's heart. Meanwhile, Red also grew up, and owned her own flower shop. After closing, she went to the piggy bank to deposit money, leaving her grandmother alone at home. In the forest, there were 3 wolves, 2 small ones and a big one. The 2 small wolves wanted to hunt outside the forest, but the big wolf told them wolves should stay in the forest, because they were still young. They had to obey the big wolf. However, the grown-up gray wolf decided not to obey the big wolf anymore, and went alone to the city to taste human flesh. That's how Grandma turned into fabric. But the gray wolf was still not satisfied. On the refrigerator, it saw a photo of Red. When Red returned home, she found her grandmother acting strangely today. Looking at the fierce teeth, Red seemed to guess her grandmother's fate. Yet she repeated the lines from the fairy tale, put her hands behind her back, and slowly approached the gray wolf.
What great big eyes you have, Grandma.
Oh, the better to see you with.
But suddenly, Red changed the script in the book.
That's wrong. That's wrong. Have you forgot to tell me what big teeth I've got?
Red thought of Snow White. She didn't want to be scared anymore, so she aimed her gun at the wolf. From then on, the wolf became Little Red's new cape, and Red became a new person, a wolf hunter. But what she didn't know was, actually, Snow White was not killed. The hunter spent a lifetime killing animals, but he never killed a human. Holding on to his last kindness, he let Snow White go, and bought a cow heart from the butcher. The queen didn't confirm it. She just ate the heart. The surviving Snow White met 7 dwarfs. She cooked and cleaned for them. Their life wasn't rich, but they were happy, until the dwarfs got into horse racing. They gambled away all their money, and could only ease their hunger by gnawing on plates. To change the situation, Snow White sneaked back to the castle at night. While everyone else slept, she brought the magic mirror to the dwarfs' home. Unlike the queen, the dwarfs asked which horse would win in Marseille.
The horse's name is Mistletoe.
Hearing mistletoe, Snow White remembered her love. The magic mirror saw through her thoughts, and showed her where Red had gone. After killing the wolf, to leave the place of sadness, Red came to Piggy Bank, intending to withdraw her money. But when the pig manager heard she wanted money, he immediately closed the iron gate. Because Red's piggy bank had long been used by the manager for investments, his friends wanted to build houses, one with straw, one with branches. But just as they were about to start,
Bacon, pork, and ham?
the gray wolf's brother, the brown wolf, was eyeing them, excitedly running out of the forest. He turned the 2 into dinner, but he wasn't full. So he came to the bank made of brick, facing the smartest pig manager among the 3 little pigs. The brown wolf decided to blow up the house with dynamite. The scared pig manager had to call Red. Just as the brown wolf was about to light the dynamite, Red appeared just in time. She pulled out her gun, and ended the brown wolf, then calmly stamped out the fuse. The rescued pig manager invited Red to taste champagne, but Red discovered the remnants of her red piggy bank. So, Red took all the pig manager's money away. She arrived in a strange city, and met Snow White there. The 2 hugged tightly together. She used all the coins she got from the pig manager to support the dwarfs. Then she draped the brown wolf skin coat over Snow White. Next to her feet was a suitcase with a pig's tail, just like the magic mirror said. The dwarfs guessed the winning horse correctly at the Marseille races. Red and Snow White became rich this way and lived happily together. They not only had their own home, but also adopted 2 children. The story seemed to enter a happy ending, but the uncle of the gray and brown wolves, Big Wolf, never forgot his nephew's death. He disguised himself as a nanny and went to their house after the 2 had left. Although the older sister who opened the door was scared, the younger brother thought the nanny was just playing cosplay. Big Wolf started chopping vegetables.
What are you doing?
I'm going to eat you up.
The scared sister managed to convince her brother that it was story time and led him away from Big Wolf. Big Wolf wasn't angry, but set a half-hour timer and started telling them a story. Half an hour later, Big Wolf's story ended, and the 2 children had fallen asleep. The soup in the pot was also cooked, but when Red came home, the children were still sleeping soundly on the sofa. She turned around and saw a familiar figure.
Goodbye, Red.
The big wolf just said goodbye and quietly left. It took off its human clothes, went back to the forest, to be just who he is. This movie is called Revolting Rhymes. In this film, Red isn't just a little girl waiting for a hunter to save her. She picks up weapons and bravely fights danger. Snow White doesn't wait for a prince to rescue her. She finds her own job and becomes family with Red. Though Red killed the big wolf's 2 nephews, maybe while telling bedtime stories to the children, they reminded the big wolf of his own nephews. Or perhaps he was always kind-hearted. Whether following the original story's flow or creating new stories, your life is in your hands. This is Snail Movie Animation. See you next week.